Hey, what's up, you guys? It's the Venusian Bull, and I am back with part 2 of the Scorpio video. And I hope that I don't have to go into a part 3, but I was looking at my notes and they were pretty extensive. It may be some stuff repeated, but I don't know. It seems like I was covering my bases with Scorpio. You know, you got to get all the details and stuff. So let's pick up where we left off. Scorpios can be very vengeful, very vindictive. So they seek revenge. Remember what I told you about that movie Law Abiding Citizen? You know, planning and waiting, for 10 years to get the killer of his wife and child back. That whole plot to get into jail and solitary confinement was so like extra, but it was like low-key genius at the same time. That's the extreme aspect of that vindictive Scorpio energy. And they are master manipulators, you guys. They manipulate for a living. Like that's they have their job that they do where they make money, but then they manipulate. Like they don't even realize that they're doing it because it's so much a part of them, because Scorpio is all about playing chess. Scorpio is always 3 moves ahead, 5 moves ahead, 8 moves ahead, whatever. Like they're always playing chess. They're never playing checkers. They're thinking about long term. They're thinking about moves like way down the line. They always have to feel deeply, as I mentioned earlier. So the deepest emotions and also the deepest feelings in general. And that's why Scorpio is prone to actually like cutting themselves, because it's like that feeling of pain is almost like exhilarating for them. It like makes them come alive. You know what I'm saying? It's really weird, but Scorpios are very, they have a high tolerance for pain. Like they get a rush from it. So Scorpio is also the sign of self-mutilation. It just is. They also may have a lot of tattoos, like Aries. I forgot to mention this in the Aries video, but Aries is prone to have mad tattoos, like Scorpio, because of the high tolerance for pain. And I mentioned earlier about Scorpios being psychic, very intuitive. They are prone to exploit others. So like I mentioned before about the whole reading people and just gathering information based off of observing people, you never know when they may use that shit against you. If you don't ever cross them, then they won't, because they can keep a secret. They can take it to the grave. But if you do, then they might exploit you. Something that people may not know about Scorpio, like I said before, Scorpio deals with other people's money. So it deals with insurance, inheritance, and when it comes to other people's money, they may get like insurance settlements and inheritance money as a result of someone's death. Remember, I told you death kind of follows them. So it may be, you get insurance money from a spouse's death or a parent's death or something like that. You were, the beneficiary or something along those lines. Scorpios are incredibly loyal, but like I mentioned earlier, if you cross them, definitely beware. They will definitely, 100%, most certainly hold a grudge. They are extremely, they hold a lot of resentment. I would say that they're not really capable of forgiving and forgetting. Like I just gonna put that out there. Extremely resentful if you cross them. They, like Virgo, are destructive when idle. So they need a positive outlet, a constructive outlet, a productive outlet of something to do, so that their mind isn't going crazy thinking about all of these dark-sided types of things that they can do. Scorpio does rule surgery, like I mentioned before. So they're prone to get plastic surgery to enhance the way that they look or to transform the way that they look. So also Scorpios are, they can plot and plan their schemes for months, even years. So that's back to the law-abiding citizen aspect, when seeking revenge on somebody. Scorpios also may want to be surgeons, because this may sound sinister, but they may just like to cut people up. Yeah, they would be like good at it, but it's just kind of a little bit creepy. a little bit. Just a tad. Scorpio is all about the soul's journey. So it's about connecting with the soul. Scorpio is the sign that's either loved or hated and nothing in between. So that's pretty self-explanatory. But like I said earlier, having that Scorpio energy, people are prone to hate on you regardless. But you could also be deeply loved and deeply admired if you have that Scorpio energy. I mentioned earlier about the Scorpio having, three symbols: the scorpion, the eagle, and the phoenix. The highest vibration being the phoenix, the lowest vibration being the scorpion. Scorpios would also make really, really great investigators. And remember, I mentioned there were a couple of signs that were prone to have jobs in law enforcement, and that was Aries, Virgo, Scorpio is another, and Capricorn. So where Scorpio comes in is the more investigative part. They're like the crime scene investigator, which is like that would be like my niche if I would, because I didn't know if I would be a lawyer, because I got Libra energy too, and I'd be about justice and stuff like that. But that involves being put on the spot and talking in front of people and trying to prove an argument. And not that I'm not capable of doing that, but that might make me a little bit nervous. But going to crime scenes and checking for evidence and DNA and shit like that, that's so Scorpio. Like, the ID channel, forensic files, like they could be a forensic scientist and stuff like that. That's very, very Scorpio. That's uncovering what is beneath the surface. So that's definitely a career field that Scorpios would be prone to do. Let me see here. They're also investigators just in life. So they're definitely the ones that would probably go through your phone. They're probably the ones that put a tracker on your phone. Yeah, and they know your every move. So and they probably figured out your password. Just know that. They probably already know it. You didn't tell them, but they know it. They figured that shit out already. They have trust issues. So yeah, that's kind of what that has to deal with. And in my opinion, the trust issues with Scorpio, I feel like it stems from their desire to love and to feel the most deepest of emotions. And if you are lucky enough to gain their trust, because they're definitely not just giving it away, if you're lucky enough to gain their trust, then they will be there for you and they will be loyal to you and they will be supportive of you. But if you do betray them, they're liable to definitely never trust you again, but never trust anyone again with their heart and soul. So, yeah, that's the whole reason why Scorpios put up that wall, because when they let it down, all of their guards down, everything is like, they're so open because they absorb the energy of others so easily that, when they do let that guard down, it's easy for you to get in, but it's hard for them to let that guard down though. They're like survivors, honestly. Like I said before, you're never going to meet a Scorpio that hasn't been through a life, that hasn't been through shit. Even the rich Scorpios done been through shit. They have a story to tell. Trust me, they got memoirs to write. That's what I mean in reference to a Scorpio having lived. Of course, Scorpio has to deal with sex. I mean, duh. It is the sign of sex. They are like literally represents the orgasmic part of sex, or the lead up to the orgasm. So that feeling like right before you about to orgasm, and foreplay. And they're into like deviant forms of sexual activity and, taboos, very S&M. I should have used that song by Rihanna. Yes, S&M by Rihanna. How she go? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but chains and whips excite me. I'm all off key and everything like that because I forgot how the song go. But yeah, that's very Scorpionic. BDSM, all like the whole masochist thing. All types of erotic practices. I mentioned 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Black. Not the Marlon Wayans parody, but just the idea of making it darker is very Scorpio. Scorpios have to be in control. They are control freaks. There are a couple of, and they are a fixed sign as well. So that control aspect is exacerbated. And there are a couple of signs in the zodiac that are very much control freaks, like Leo, Capricorn, and Scorpio, I would say, are the strongest ones. And Scorpio is probably the strongest out of all of the control freaks because they just want to control everything around them completely, all encompassing. It makes them feel better. It makes it easier for them to go to sleep at night if they feel like they're in control of everything. They can be self-destructive as well. So that's based off of the Pluto influence. They are a power player. So they're always trying to one-up somebody. Concerned with power since it's ruled by Pluto, and always wants to have power over others. And that goes back to the control. So not only do they want to control others, but they want to have power over them too. And that kind of goes back to that manipulative aspect of Scorpio. I did mention that Scorpios can be prone to infidelity, especially if you have like your Venus in Scorpio. They could be prone to infidelity. Scorpio is the sign of the criminal. It is. It's a couple of songs called Criminal. So yeah, that would work for Scorpio. I'm just trying to tell you, Scorpio has an entire soundtrack of music. For real. Oh, I should try to do that. I should create soundtracks for the signs. Help me out with that. But I want soundtracks for the signs. Like I need at least like 10 songs per sign or something like that. Like a decent soundtrack. But like a zodiac soundtrack. That'd be cute. Okay. But anyway, they're the sign of the criminal. Like they're the quintessential like gangster of the zodiac. So it's a couple of signs that, you know, are prone to, you know, criminal activity. This is like a literally organized crime, right? And I haven't gotten to this part yet, but I have to talk about this. The show Power, which if you're not watching it, like, what is wrong with you? Is completely indicative of Scorpio energy. Like everybody on that show has Scorpio energy, from the people who work at in the federal building, the prosecutors, the investigators, to the actual criminals. So organized crime is very Scorpio. And that's what Kanan, Ghost, and Tommy did organized crime. You know what I'm saying? What am I talking about? They ain't done with their criminal activities and stuff like that. And once again, R.I.P. Kanan. But everybody on that show, the characters, every single person exhibits scorpionic traits on that show. So if you wanted to know a Scorpio in action and you're not sure if you've seen it in person, just watch the show Power. Watch the show Power. That's a great example of a Scorpio. So I mentioned that they're very vindictive. Also, in terms of Scorpio references, I love the movie Eve's Bayou. That is like one of my favorite movies ever, honestly. And it's like set in, you know, the Louisiana South, like in the 60s. And it's like real Creole and swampy and stuff like that. And they use like voodoo and different like psychic things and things like that. People have the main character played by Janae Smollett, Eve, obviously. She had visions, and her aunt Moselle, she had visions and stuff like that. Like that movie I absolutely love, me and my Scorpio self, but my Scorpio rising self, that is. But yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. So that's very Scorpionic as well. Also, they literally absorb other people's energy, both good and bad. So trust they've already made up their minds within 5 seconds of meeting you, whether they'll fuck with you or not, basically. Because of their perceptive nature, they've already read you like a book. So they could literally be like allergic to people or have a allergic reaction due to their ability to absorb other people's energy. And also the same can happen in reverse, like their negative energy can rub off on others. So if Scorpio, if they sense that, then they're going to back away from you. They're extremely sexual people. That emotional bonding and intensity needs to be prevalent in their sex life as well. So sex is very important to Scorpios, to just for living, just for like vitality, just to exist. And especially women kind of just ooze sex, like Scorpio women, without even trying, without even looking overtly sexual and things of that nature. It's really in the eyes. that's the power of a Scorpio energy. And it's almost like a spell that they're casting on you, like a sex spell even. And you don't even realize that you're putting it on them. Uh, the movie introducing Dorothy Dandridge, which Dorothy Dandridge actually is a Scorpio, when she was preparing for her role as Carmen Jones, there was a scene in the movie. Loretta Devine was actually playing Halle Berry's mother. Halle Berry played Dorothy Dandridge, but Loretta Devine was playing Dorothy Dandridge's mother, and she made a comment like, "This woman is all about sex. She looks like sex. She smells like sex. She even moves like sex." That's a Scorpio. Like, without even trying. That's that Scorpio sexual energy. They can definitely be the seductress, and they can be seducers because of that. They have like piercing, mysterious eyes, and all the water signs do have like very prominent eyes, and kind of deep, mysterious, like you can, they can see into your soul type of thing. Very observant, as I've already mentioned, researchers. Their words can definitely cut like a knife. So they have no qualms with telling you about themselves. Like their words can be just as hurtful as their actions. So definitely be careful and think about that when it comes to like a Mercury in Scorpio. Yeah, their words can cut like a knife. Scorpios can't live an ordinary life. They don't know what normal is. They don't know what regular is. They're about extraordinary because they need to feel fulfilled and have the most fulfilling experiences in life, a little bit differently than like a Sag would, because they require that like emotional component to it. But this also includes their career, having a fulfilling career. They are extremely trustworthy unless you cross them. So if you have secrets, I won't tell your secrets. Just don't cross them and you'll be fine. They're not really the tell your business type of sign. So like, for instance, social media, Scorpio might be the people that don't even have social media accounts, or if they do, they're rarely on it, or they're the ghost people. Like they're looking at stuff, but they're not liking or commenting, and you'll never know that they've been stalking your page for a year. That's Scorpio. Yeah. They make great like leaders. They have that leadership mentality about them. Teachers, motivational speakers, and they've usually been through a lot in life, as I mentioned before. So they usually give good sound advice. Only the strong can survive Scorpio energy. For real. And only the strong can deal with Scorpio energy. It's definitely not for the weak. It is not. They're deeply emotional and sensitive, but they rarely show it. So it's like you never see them sweat, and that's the Scorpio's model. They don't want nobody to see them sweat. They don't want anybody to catch on to anything that they're plotting, planning, scheming, or just like what they're thinking. It doesn't even have to be malicious. Like they just don't want people to get inside their head because they're already inside of your head. Do you understand? So let me see. If you have Scorpio energy, whether you like it or not, you'll be forced to face the dark side, like I mentioned earlier. It could be projected onto you by others. So just remember that. If you're a Scorpio and you don't like really exhibit a lot of these traits, just remember the people that come into your life, friends, family, mates, business partners and things like that, they can project that Scorpio energy onto you. Remember, Scorpio energy is like, it absorbs, like, when you semi let that wall down just for a second, you're absorbing other people's energy. So remember that. You could have allergic reactions to people. That's real. Scorpio is not surface level or superficial in terms of their connections. They're about deep, meaningful connections with people that'll last a lifetime. They're mysterious on purpose. They typically love the color black. This is why I'm wearing black. That's why I have my black head wrap on, my black sunglasses. Yes, I wish these were a little bit darker so you couldn't really see the reflection. So that way you couldn't see into my eyes. But, I did what I could. They might like blood red. Who knows? So they're the kings and queens of resting bitch face. I mentioned this. I'm sure they definitely came up with that term. They deal with debts, bankruptcy, taxes, levies, and liens as well. So where